I guess you could like send a tequila bottle to the Mars or moon or something, right?
Right, let's talk about tequila. I want to know everything.
Yeah, it's definitely capital intensive, about like $5 million, which in our space is like nothing. There's all the shiny objects out there to go like spend the dollars for the ego. He said, you need to put really good juice in this bottle to get away with that, and I'll be your partner.
If you had unlimited marketing budget, is there any idea you would love to pull off? Right, let's talk about tequila.
All right, what do you want to know?
I want to know everything. I know there are different flavors. I know there are different like aging stages, like reposado and all that. But what's the whole deal?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a Blanco, Repo, and Yeho. You know, our Blancos, you know, it's rested about 14 days, but you know, Repo, we age about 11 months in a Virginia oak bourbon barrel. And then our Añejo is closer to 15, 16 months. So those are our three core SKUs. We had those for about 3 years, maybe a little bit longer. And then, you know, we're watching a lot of friction in the space, right? There's a lot of brands, there's a lot of, you know, competition, and kind of through that process, just wanted to have something that didn't really exist yet, something that we could, you know, attach to other cultures and something not just like an extra Añejo or something, like something completely fresh that could stand alone on his brand. So that's how we came up with Caliente, which is a cinnamon infused tequila.
Yeah. And you can only name it tequila if it's from that certain region, right?
Yeah, it's country of origin. There's most of it comes from Jalisco, but it's about 5 total regions.
Okay, nice.
But it has to come from Mexico.
How was the process? How did you came up with it with tequila?
Yeah, so my background is actually in digital media. So I built we had a travel channel called Paradise.
A huge channel, right? Like 2 million followers or so?
Yeah, and so yeah, we had about 2.5 or so million followers at the time. A lot of our clients are big tourism boards and hospitality groups all around the world. So we'd basically fly out, go on a crazy adventure, shoot a video, and then post it on our channel and rinse and repeat. Super, you know, fun business to run. Our clients are like Tahiti Tourism, Visit Florida, Visit Portugal, Tahoe Tourism, big brands and agencies. WeWork, Atlantic Records. We also had an influencer arm of the business. So like a lot of the, you know, influencers that were either in the content or shooting it, those were travel creators, action sports athletes, YouTubers, you name it. You know, a lot of those people became good friends of mine. And it's easy to make friends when you're asking people, hey, do you want to go to Tahiti for 10 days and make 10 grand? So it was pretty fun business to run. We ended up getting acquired by a bigger media company. But along that journey, you know, was watching a lot of my friends just graduate over from vodka to tequila for whatever reason. I think a lot of that was from like the Casamigos wave. And
from the consumer side, not from the business side.
From the consumer side, and just my personal, you know, experience as well. And had an idea to build what I would say is like a Tito's version of tequila. Premium quality, but attainable price point. And had some interesting relationships down in Mexico through my, you know, travel business. And so I trademarked the brand. I started going down to Jalisco. I met a guy who built one of the original Don Julio distilleries, told him that we wanted to start a tequila brand called I'm Sorry, that we were saying it sarcastically. And, you know, we're having a fun take at tequila.
Yep.
He said, you need to put really good juice in this bottle to get away with that, and I'll be your partner. And so we launched the brand together.
Okay, nice. And Lo Siento, the name means sorry?
It means I'm sorry. It also means I feel it. But we're, you know, we have the fingers crossed in the bottle because we're lying. We're not actually sorry. We're just saying it sarcastically. So it's fun.
That's cool.
And we kind of took the hand element to the Caliente, made the hand on fire.
If you're in the spirits industry, there's always like ebbs and flows of like every spirit, right? I mean, like in the mid 2000s or like when I was starting drinking, kind of like 2010 until pretty much now, gin was way much on a rise, and all these gin brands popped up. Do you see that is tequila the next gin?
Yeah, I mean the U.S. I mean, where'd you grow up?
Europe, Germany.
So that makes a lot more sense. I mean, gin is way bigger over there, and you know, here I'd say probably around that same time frame was probably vodka.
Oh yeah,
for the U.S. consumer, and then a lot of people started graduating over from vodka to tequila. I think, you know, a lot of that. I mean, Casamigos obviously, you know, kind of created that surge. And so there was Patron and other big brands and
Casamigos is the brand by George Clooney, right?
Yeah. And then obviously, you know, a lot of celebrities piled in the space. It became, you know, healthier to drink tequila. You could drink a bunch of it and, not be as hungover. There's a lot of different reasons why people kind of graduated over to tequila, but it's definitely, one of the last in just spirits in general. Yep. Tequila is still growing, where some of the other ones have maybe flatlined. But, tequila is starting to, outpace some of the other, like historical, whiskey and vodka.
I mean, it feels like it's also a sexy product, right? Like you get tequila shots, but you only take vodka shots if you really have to, and your friend forces you to. Yeah. But you wouldn't do it like for enjoyment or so, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't take vodka shots, and most of my friends don't. I think most people are, if they're going to do a shot, the tequila shot's like a fun experience too, right? And when you originally started taking tequila shots, I think it was, you were taking like pretty bad tequila shots, and you're squeezing the lime, and now there's obviously a lot of better options, and people are maybe a little bit more knowledgeable of, all the options out there. So you can take a good tequila shot and chill it or whatever, and people are down to rip it.
I don't know how it's here in the US, but Jonas, videographer, is also from Europe, so probably know there's Sierra Tequila, which is the cheap version, right? And this is basically how Europeans get introduced to tequila. It's cheap, like a bottle costs like $10 or so. It has like a red Mexican hat as a lid.
Is that? I've never seen it.
Yeah, and you have like pretty bad hangover from that, and so people are kind of like they have their history with it. Totally. So you have a tequila hangover once, and they never drink it again.
Yeah, but people still have that issue, but I think a lot of people have outgrown that, right? Because they've had so many better experiences. Oh, yeah. And I think if you stick to just tequila or, pretty light mixer, I mean, I think you're probably in better shape than if you're ripping like a gin and tonic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's the best mixer for tequila?
I mean, I just drink the Repo on the rocks with a slice of orange. So I try not to mix it, but I mean, people have a lot of preferences. You can do margarita, Paloma. Some people will just do like a splash of, orange juice, or, I just like to drink it straight, and then you can avoid, the sugar high altogether.
Yeah. So in a space where so many different tequila brands are popping up, right? That's also 818. Who's it by? Like Kylie Jenner? Or
yeah, so? Kendall Jenner.
Yeah, Kendall Jenner. And they all stand out like with crazy, different bottles, like the 8-shaped bottle or the Claza Azul or so. I'd also love to get your take on that. And how do you guys stand out if the competition is so brutal?
Yeah, I mean, on the luxury bottle side, I mean, 818 has their kind of core SKUs are a little bit more attainable. The 8 bottles, like their luxury SKU. Yeah. And then Clase has always been pretty luxury. Right now, most of the growth in the tequila category, and I mean, obviously there's outlier brands, but it's mostly between $25 and $40. Yep. So it's in the attainable price point, because the consumer is, a lot more aware that you can go buy a good tequila for, under $40. But there's still a ton of congestion there too. So, for us, we, really like to stand out through, doing a ton of original content and really driving that home. We also, are pretty relentless in our efforts at bars and restaurants. We do a lot of events, do a lot of cocktail hours. A lot of these bartenders are also, could be your salespeople, right? If you make friends with them, they're going to push your product, educate people. So you really got to hit it all from all angles, because, the bigger people, you can't really outcompete them on dollars. Yep. So you got to, become a little bit craftier in how you're going to engage with that consumer. And so because we're, much smaller brand, obviously much smaller budgets, we definitely have to get crafty on how we can, incentivize the product to move off the shelf or, in hospitality.
Yeah. You guys started out with just a seeding round, or how was the business structure?
Yeah, so when I sold my business, I put in a fair amount of money into the company. We did, and that with like a friends and family round. So we didn't really raise much money. We raised like $1 million, which in our space is like nothing. Yep. And then had some good traction, and then we raised.
You probably did just like 500, 600K for the first charge of product, right?
Yeah, it's definitely capital intensive. And then we raised a little bit more after that, call it like $5 million. But we have a fair amount of ways to go, and we'll definitely have to put some more cash together.
Okay. How much revenue does the brand make right now?
This year we'll do between about 7 and 10 million, just depending on how many states we get to. So it'll be a pretty big year for us. We just onboard with the third biggest distributor in the country, which is Breakthrough Beverage in California, and doing about 6 more states with them.
Okay.
And then we're launching some other strategic markets as well.
So it's mostly driven by distributor growth, or you also have like D2C, or what are like the main revenue drivers?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you work with your distributor to, get the product to, the locations or the retailers or the hospitality that you turn on. That's where, for us, that's where the core of our business is. We, definitely sell some stuff online. We sell bottles online. We sell our merch online, but, we want to remain focused on, selling into hospitality and retail, because that's really where you get the multiple on the business.
Okay.
And because you want to show that when you put the bottle on the shelf, it moves off and you get depletions and velocity. And it's really about showing the velocity that you get at these, accounts.
Okay, yeah. I started out as a event photographer and tour photographer, so I'm pretty. I've been around in the nightlife, and also worked a lot with Red Bull, and I always photographed their conferences, right? Like their internal conferences when they spoke about new products and all that. And so basically, what I took from that was they say from hospitality to retail. Like first, people need to try it, taste it. In hospitality, they're super ridiculous. They're super strict on how it's presented. You have to bring the drink, like let's say the vodka Red Bull or whatever, with the Red Bull can in that certain way, and it educate the bartenders and all that. Is that also a strategy that works for you guys?
Totally. I mean, Red Bull is the best at that, right? Like they basically have a drink. It's called the Red Bull vodka, right? It's like synonymous with the brand. So they have done a great job in the on-premise. For us, same with us. We definitely focus there to start, because, you get liquid to lips. People try the product. Maybe you have a cocktail hour. You meet the bartenders. People have seen the product once or twice, had it, gone to one of your events, whatever. And then, maybe that will translate to when they're in the store and they buy it. But if you do it in reverse and you just put something on a bunch of shelves that no one's ever seen before, it's pretty tough to get people to try something unless it's like extremely novel. When there's, sitting next to 500 other brands, you got to put in the legwork. And so we definitely like to start in hospitality and then, charge into retail after that.
What do you have to do that you're like the preferred liquid? Or is it called preferred liquid in a bar also? Like the shot of choice, or that the
house brand?
Yeah, the house brand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things that go down in the on-premise, but if you can, for us, we like to provide some effort or like value, right? So like we do a cocktail hour, they make a bunch of money, or we you have an event, maybe we do content, we put it on our channel.
Nice.
That's really how we like to drive some value for that specific group. But yeah, I mean, alcohol is it's a tough game. There's a lot of things that go down behind the scenes.
Okay. And which states are you in right now?
California, Georgia, Tennessee, and Michigan.
Okay. And do you need a license for every state? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. How does that work?
I mean, you can do it, a couple different ways, but we work with an importer that just has the, kind of runs the license for us in all the states and does like the compliance work for us.
Okay. And so it's about them to get you licensed in the next states? Or
yeah.
so?
I mean, you apply. It's not it's not crazy hard. But we have a group that's kind of set up in, states that we want to go to. So we don't have to, kind of get too deep into the minutia and all that stuff.
Okay. What are the most important states to expand to?
I mean, just depends on, who you are as a brand or what your target market is. For us, we like to go to markets where the consumer is easily identifiable. Maybe we have big relationships in the hospitality space. Maybe we have big relationships with retailers. I think for us, we also want to go to the Midwest because we have a product that plays really well for
with the
cold,
cinnamon.
Yeah, the cold weather.
Oh yeah.
So we have Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois on our radar, Colorado, right?
Okay.
Those are great places where I think there's like a place like Colorado. I went to Boulder. There's a lot of entry level jobs in Denver. There's a young consumer. It's a growing state. We have something that's really interesting for the mountain towns. So, that market makes sense for us pretty immediately.
I'd love to try it later.
We should do it.
It's good. Yeah. So I saw you guys went to Mammoth.
Yeah.
And tell me about that, and tell me about the whole idea and how the the marketing story worked out there.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't done any content because we launched this product a little bit late in the year. So we wanted to get some snow focused content, kind of get like a case study to show why it works in the mountains. So we brought that. We brought some of our Caliente merch. We drank it in the snow.
Spicy.
Yeah,
love it.
We brought it to the snow. We did a couple parties at some bars, right? And a lot of the bartenders are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. There's no tequila option for something like this. So they all got behind it, and then because we put out that content piece, a bunch of other bars nearby were wanted to carry the product. Let's
get a little bit deeper on that. So I know our audience is also a lot of brands from or listeners from corporate, from enterprise companies who usually have like $1 million to activate an influencer thing at Coachella also, right?
Yeah.
And you guys have definitely some budget, right? But you're very hands-on, and you always know your way around, and you don't have $1 million to spend on one marketing activity, right?
No chance.
How do you approach that and keep it in a lean way, but still have the big impact?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just, we're just hustling, honestly. I mean, like for Mammoth, for instance, we just, I just hit up the owner of the bar and was like, can we get some product in here? We're going to create a fun video. We're going to, deck out the whole place in hats and stuff, and, kind of like take that moment that we created and then make it a bigger moment through the content channel.
Okay. And you knew the guy before, or you just reach out to him?
Yeah. But then now they love us because we had a lot of fun in there, and, we were getting Caliente shots all over the bar, and everyone was wearing the hats. And next thing you know, we were like, sponsoring their salsa night on Wednesdays. And, you can, through kind of some of that grind, you can kind of make those moments look bigger than they are. Yeah. But, you can echo them on a louder level and use that as leverage into the door with, 20 other places.
I mean, from your former business, you're definitely a content genius, or you know how to play with content.
He's a genius over there, Jonas.
Yeah. Shout out. So I also want to talk to you about your YouTube channel that you probably got to bring back.
Yeah,
so,
maybe. Jonas might quit if he tries.
So what role plays content, or how's the strategy in general? Is it like just putting out fun stuff, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different things that kind of want to focus on, but speaking of hospitality, like we really like to drive that narrative into the hospitality venues, just because it's so can be so beneficial for the brand, and then it can be like a top of funnel for other, let's just say we put out a video at 10 bars. Well, all the local bars follow each other, so they'll see the video and be like, hey, come by our place, we'd love to carry the product and get into the next video, right?
Okay.
So that's like one of the core strategies, also just supporting our bigger partners that maybe, do a ton of volume through their accounts.
And is it all organic, or do you also
I'd say like 95% organic. Well, we rarely run paid lately. We've just been hammering home organic, and
wow.
So yeah, that's one piece to it. Obviously there's like, merch and stuff that we, you're kind of always refreshing, right? If you come out with new stuff, you got to do new shoots, seasonal content, right? And then, coming into summer, we might have like some campaigns and stuff.
Nice. And the merch is basically just the thing to identify, or is it also an actual revenue driver?
No, it's definitely a revenue driver, but if like we can sell a fair amount of it, and then, let's just say that's a break even funnel, but you have 250 people that bought hats last month. Well, now you get 250 people walking around marketing your brand. So it, we're not like hyper focused on like building a giant merch business, but we're happy for it to grow because it's a free marketing funnel, and sure, it adds some revenue, but that's not where, the core of our focus should be.
Let's get a little bit back to the when you guys started it, because now obviously you guys have traction. You're in all the hot bars, and it's growing and it's going. But when you just started out, I think you've guys been all in one Airbnb or so. Everybody like in the YouTube video, and pulling out all that ideas.
Are you referring to like something on the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
No, that was our office, but me and Jonas lived in it.
Okay.
So the office was a work live venue on Abbot Kinney. So like the downstairs was our office, and then upstairs had bedrooms. So like when we moved Jonas to the U.S., we got him a visa, and I was like, hey, you're gonna live with me in Venice, and it's part of our deal. Live in the office with me, which is it's good for productivity, but it can also be mess with your head a little bit when you're just living in, living where you work. But yeah, so that we were just moving offices really. But yeah, we started off years before that, but that was like kind of like around the time that I guess Jonas started full time, where we like really got sophisticated on the content stuff.
Wow. What's the vision with the whole brand?
That's yeah. I mean, we want to keep growing the business. I mean, we're, for like this year specifically, grow into about 6 new states.
Yep.
A big part of that vision is launching this new kind of, we think it's pretty industry disruptive, right? Everyone keeps coming out with the same products, Blanco, Repo, and Añejo, but there hasn't been that much innovation on the flavored side of products. Mm-hmm. So, can I turn this into, what could be like a Fireball competitor or something?
Oh, okay.
And, those are our core focuses for this year.
Nice. How big can this business be?
I mean, it could be huge. There's obviously a lot of giant brands out there, but you got to bite off as much as you can chew, kind of in bite-sized chunks. Because if you try to do it all at once, it's very capital intensive and you can run out of money. So, it can be a giant business, but you have to, just do it with, whatever's palatable for. You have to be able to stomach it on the cost side.
But do you think you can make $1 million revenue with that brand at some point?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll do, 7 to 10 this year. So
no, $1 billion.
Oh, $1 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be great.
What's the market like? Like, what do you think is?
Yeah. I mean, like possible? I'll give you, there a lot of brands, and when you get acquired in the space, a lot of brands that you might see are doing, call it 20 to 40 million, and they're getting acquired for anywhere from, say 200 to $400 million. Obviously, the multiple
so it's
varies.
Like 4 to 8x.
Yeah, historically it's been around 10, but things can change. Also, the speed in which you get there can maybe affect the multiple. But try not to focus too much on that. Just try to keep looking at what's right in front of us, and good things will happen.
Okay. And so you definitely also think of an exit case, or you want to run it for forever?
I mean, I think we'll see how we go. I think we're trying to build it to the best we can, and I'm sure that opportunity will come one day. But you start thinking about that too much, then you lose sight of like it's pretty grindy. And you got to be in it every single day. So as long as we continue to hit our goals, that'll happen one day. But we'll see where we go in the meantime.
That's cool. I mean, most of, let's say, like my rough guess would be like 80 or 9% of all the spirit brands are owned by one of the big chains, like Pernod Ricard or Campari or what's the one?
Diageo, Constellation.
Right? Yeah,
there's a lot of big groups out there, right? There's a lot of groups that own 50 plus brands, maybe 100 plus brands. Then there's a ton of groups that might have 6 to a dozen brands. Mm-hmm. There's groups that have huge companies that only have 4 brands, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of portfolio companies out there. And consolidation in alcohol can happen pretty fast once you kind of hit certain revenue thresholds. Mm-hmm. And even maybe like wine groups, right? Like maybe they're watching young people drink spirits more, so maybe they want to start making bets in the spirit space. So like a group like Gallo, they've been historically a huge wine group, but they own Camarena and Don Fulano and a fair amount of few other tequila brands. So I think some of that will also continue to happen in the space where the big guys want to start making bets on tequila. Mm-hmm. and starting it yourself is really hard, because if you just create it and then you just put it on a bunch of shelves, but there's been no story or no legwork, it could just fail. So they want to buy something that has some traction, has kind of proven track record in a few states, and then put the real juice behind that.
I mean, you need the history, you need the legacy, that it's legit, right? And
even just the groundwork, like 3 years, talking to bartenders in 10 states, right? And showing sales velocity and having people in the retail stores doing demos every weekend, right? If you just launch something and you put it in, 20 states without any of that, is it going to be successful? It'd be really tough unless you might have to have the best celebrity of all time.
Yeah.
Which some people have done that, but it's harder now. But I think if you have, you spend, a few years doing that stuff, they know that it's working and that makes it, there's a formula, right?
Yep.
That they can then, kind of put a little bit more fuel to the fire.
Okay. Generally, alcohol sales are a little bit declining, right? Especially young folks, they focus more on health, and especially if we hang out in Venice, there's a cold plunge and a sauna place every two doors, and people don't drink that much. Is that affecting you?
I mean, not really for us. I mean, I think we notice it in maybe hospitality places. Maybe they used to be busy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the weekend.
Yep.
Maybe they're busy Thursday through the weekend now. Maybe they don't get that extra night. Maybe people are not spending as much money. I think it's also a product of people just having less money to spend. But you can't, we just have to focus on, continuing to grow our business and can't, be too worried about the stuff that we can't control. Right. Because I think for the most part, a lot of people are trying to be maybe healthier, but they're still going out on the weekends and drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
And the alcohol that they are drinking maybe is, maybe they aren't buying the $80 bottle anymore. Maybe they're buying our $35 bottle. So I think we're well positioned for, the conscious consumer, but I think this stuff just comes in ebbs and flows, right? Like when we were in COVID and when we got out of COVID, everyone was starved from going and they couldn't go to the bars, right? So the bars were just pumping.
Yeah.
And then people were like, oh shit, I've been, drinking and going out and maybe spending a lot of money. Maybe you're reining in their budgets. But I think this stuff, it just kind of goes in cycles.
Yeah. Friends of mine, they own a gin brand called Siegfried Gin. Okay. And they brought out a alcohol-free version.
Yeah.
Is that the thing you thought about?
Not really.
Why that?
I think, I mean, I don't know. I think once you start chasing the trend too hard, there's a lot of non-alc tequilas already. And, I think we have identified a consumer that still wants to enjoy alcohol. And there's a lot of people out there that still do. So just, and there's probably more people that don't know about us than do. So there's plenty of market share for us to go get through, relating to the consumer and getting our stuff in front of them. So if we, add another SKU to kind of appease what, the new trend or something, I don't know how authentic it would be because, I drink and I'm out there and on the weekends and telling people to drink and sure, I'm healthy and I work out a lot and whatever. I think you can do both. You can have a fun life and you can also, go to the gym every day and be healthy and hit the sauna and cold plunge, which is what I do. So I think if I came out with a non-alc, it might have come across as a little bit non-authentic.
Yeah, maybe. I want to talk to you a little bit about marketing and brands in general. And I always have a question for my guests. Which is your favorite brand and why? And the answer I'm looking for is basically not like, okay, Nike, because it's like whatever, they pick budgets. So it's more about what brand inspires you and why do you think they're so good in what they are doing? Maybe product-wise, maybe marketing-wise. Is there anything that fascinates you? So yeah, what's your favorite brand?
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I haven't spent too much time thinking about like what's my favorite brand, right? But if you think about like an iconic brand like an Apple, right? They have amazing product, but they also have amazing marketing. They have amazing copywriting. I think obviously that's a brand that's really been built through coming up with like through the best product and then and through that incredible marketing campaigns. But I haven't spent too much time thinking about who my favorite one is, but I definitely am paying attention to people that are doing it well.
That's cool. Okay. And is there if you had unlimited marketing budget,
that'd be nice.
Is there any idea you would love to pull off?
I had unlimited marketing budget. I mean, I guess you could like, send a tequila bottle to the Mars or moon or something, right? But unfortunately, I don't get to think that way. We're pretty constrained on, and thoughtful on how we spend the dollars. So have never thought about what if I had unlimited money, but there's so many cool things that you can go do, right? Like you can go be the main tequila at Coachella, and you can put together, you could put together your own Revolve Fest, and right, like there's all the shiny objects out there to go like spend the dollars for the ego play. But in my experience, it only really works if you're a huge brand, right? Because you have $100 million to spend in the Southwest region of the United States. So you can go spend that money and maybe you get the lift because you have so many points of distribution. It's such a big media thing. Like for us, it would be a giant waste of money if we did something like that, just because it's not going to translate to nationally, right? We're not a national brand. So we, got to be a little bit more calculated on what's worth it and what's not.
So basically you go more into niche events and try to leverage that.
Yeah. And there's things you can do. Like you can be around the, festivals or the after parties, or you can, do the content there, but maybe you aren't.
You don't have to be the title sponsor, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, probably it's most of the time also overpriced, especially if you have a big event already. I mean, Coachella has been around for 20 years or so. They know their price, and there are a lot of brands who are competing around that.
Especially in tequila, because everybody wants it right now, right? It's not like, we're some novel product that there's a lot of friction in our space. And when there's a lot of friction, the biggest dollars get spent. And so, they can go get Don Julio to pay him $1 million or whoever the sponsor is.
Yeah.
But it's the most competitive category in spirits right now.
Wow.
And so that makes it the most expensive to, for paying.
What do you think about brand partnerships? What's your perspective on that?
I think they're great. I mean, it's obviously a great way to tap into, another brand's audience. And maybe if they share a similar tone of voice, or, we've done stuff with like hat brands or whatever, if you are, for us, if we want to go do more into a specific culture and another brand, maybe they're a ski brand, maybe they embody that culture and that's where their whole audience is. But, ski snowboard crowd is probably drinkers. Maybe that's a good collaboration for us. So I think it's impactful, and it's obviously a great way to get like a big marketing campaign done without paying a ton of money, right? You're kind of both, giving what you have to the campaign and trading audiences.
Nice. Is there any brand on the bucket list?
There's a couple.
Yeah.
I don't want to give anyone any of our good ideas.
Ah, okay, I see you. But yeah, like snowboard or ski, that would be definitely something that
definitely want to do something to that for Caliente.
Okay, nice. That's cool, amazing. Well, what are the most important channels for you guys? I know you're big on Instagram, right?
Yeah, Instagram is the best one because we can kind of say what we can say. We can put out content with a little bit less restrictions than like a TikTok. We've had a really tough time with like getting banned for alcohol or shadow ban because and now they just loosened that up. So I think that would be a good, can be an increasingly better avenue for us. I think YouTube's good. We just signed a big YouTuber. His name's Nick Narsina. And so he has, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He's been awesome and sort of like leading the YouTube torch for us. But right now it's basically Instagram and YouTube where we're getting most of the traction.
That's good. Where are you from, Ryan?
I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay. And how long have you been in LA for?
I moved to LA in 2017.
That's cool. So I came here 2 years ago from Germany with like no network or nothing. I'm still trying to learn. And one reason I'm doing the podcast is like to get to know more people and also give out some of my learnings and get their learnings out to our audience. When you came here, how did you build your network in the first place?
I had some friends here, like we had a small group of us that went to Boulder, Colorado for college. And there's, a fair amount of us here.
You also were in Boulder?
Yeah, I went to Boulder for school. So we had some core friends here, and then, just kind of like through having a business, you have like an excuse to meet a lot of interesting people. And so definitely when I was building our Paradise business, got to meet a ton of interesting people. Also just being out, like if you just go out and to like as a young person to bars and restaurants, like you meet a lot of people and maybe those people are helpful in your business or they're just a friend. And that, I mean, that's just such an easy way to expand your network, just willingness to be out and meet people. And I think that's super valuable and a huge reason I have the network I do today. And then obviously like, now when having this brand, I mean, it's given me an excuse to meet some of the most awesome people across hospitality or media or whatever, right? Because I have something we can collaborate on. And so that's obviously been a huge, huge reason that my network has expanded, so drastically, especially since launching this.
What are the hottest places in LA right now?
I mean, where do you like to go out?
Everywhere.
Well, I mean, if you're in Venice, obviously there's a lot of fun, little bars on the west side, like you got Grand Blanca or Bell's or Market. Waterfront's great.
That's also where you are all in. I know you did a party at Waterfront, right?
They're a big spot for us. Wabi on Rose is awesome. In West Hollywood, we love the H-Wood guys, so they have Delilah, Bird Streets Club, Nice Guy. Those are great spots for dinner or whatever you're looking for.
Oh, you also been served at Delilah?
Yeah,
like but probably not in Vegas or Miami?
Not yet. When we launch to Vegas, we'll be in there. But we're not in Vegas yet.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's so many places in LA, right? It's kind of one of the beauties. But those are some of the ones that people that we know that we really like that support us a lot. So get in there and buy some booze.
Oh yeah, and you have also among your investors a couple of I would say business influencers, right? Like D from Group Chat, D Murphy, or just people who are well known. Do you actively also work with other influencers to do paid promotions or so? Or?
We don't do really any paid promotions, but we have a lot of awesome influencer friends that we just send the product to, and they'll post because we've been friends for a long time, and so we don't really spend any money on any influencer stuff at all. We just do it through my friend network, and obviously we do a lot of events, and you take care of people, and then you get to know them, and you just send them a bunch of stuff to their house.
Do you still see an impact of that? Like, let's say a person with a couple 100,000 followers post, do you ask them to do a tracking link also, or to your website, or it's more like general awareness?
Yeah, I think when you do that, unless we have a specific call to action or we're really trying to push a specific product, but that can, I think, really hurt engagement. So I think if you just send people the stuff, we're not paying them. And yeah, I think it's interesting because right when there'll be an influencer who's well-known or an athlete or someone, and they're wearing the hat, I'll have 50 of my friends send me the post yo, I saw so wearing the hat. So It definitely works, and it definitely gets the name out there. But if you want to, you can also light a lot of money on fire paying influencers. So that's why we don't do it. We have a good network of people that we can gift it to, or maybe we rely on our investors to give it to their friends. And some of our stuff is pretty fun to wear, so it works pretty well. It's memorable.
I hope my head is big enough to wear a hat.
We got one for you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Nice. Was there any outperforming influencer or anyone where any Justin Bieber or so wear a hat or so of you?
One of the most interesting ones was one of our investors is Matt Leinart, who won a Heisman at UFC, played NFL football, and he was on the sidelines during the USC game earlier in the fall, and it was USC LSU had 12 million viewers.
Yep.
And he was just giving a sideline interview wearing the Lo Siento hat and had 200 texts.
Okay.
Because it was the biggest nationally televised game that year in college sports yet. So that was cool, and we'll get random people that'll just buy it, but that was definitely one of the best ones.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You're an influencer yourself, kind of, right? Or the as an owner, as the personal brand. If you're choosing between putting out content on the Lo Siento channel or on your channel, if you had to choose one, what would you do?
It just depends on what we're doing. I think I wasn't posting much about the brand on mine, or it's just more rah moments, right? But Jonas really was we just need to introduce people to you, because I think the idea is let's just show people that we're one of them, right? Obviously we run the business. There's a lot of ups and downs from running it, and maybe we showcase some of that stuff, but also just show them that we're doing the same stuff they're doing. Just really show them that we're one of them. And I think that becomes really relatable because then people are like, okay, cool. Like I want to buy from this guy because he's like me. Right. And not to just like showcase all the like big wins, like, showcase some of the maybe shittier stuff. And just even just funny moments behind the scenes of, the day to day.
I like that. I mean, this built-in concept is such a popular concept right now, and
Totally.
it's super successful as people can relate more to you, right?
Yeah.
If any big actor or influencer puts out a tequila brand, it's like whatever, okay, it's the name, right? But with you, like we see it growing, right? I listened to. I'm not sure when you were first on group chat, probably a year ago or so, and then I listened to it like, oh wow, there's this brand, and then I saw it again and again, and you need multiple touch points until you finally end up buying one of these bottles, which I'm probably gonna do right after.
These are yours.
That's okay.
But once you drink all of this,
here you go. But if they're gone, we have a small get together afterwards. Here,
there you
go. Where can I buy some more?
Yeah, I mean, we're at a lot of independent retailers, also Total Wines, Pavilions, a lot of like the local liquor stores in Venice, I guess near you would be like Trading Post or Frank's Liquor, or Pink Dot or something. Really, this year is kind of a bigger year where we turn on big retail. If you're in like San Diego or NorCal, Bev Box. What the hell are you saying, Jonas? I can't read that far. What? Oh, got it.
Yeah.
And keg and bottle. So, but right, it's been, kind of three of the bigger ones, which are like Total Wine, Pavilions, Albertsons. But now this is a year we're kind of pitching a lot of the big retailers, which is both exciting and scary, right? Because you need the bottles to move off the shelf.
Oh yeah. So how does it work? Like for beginners, they buy from you, or like they commit to a certain amount, or they.
Yeah, it just depends. Like when we did some of the Trader Joe's last year. We sold it out statewide in about 60 days.
Wow.
We pitched them. We did like a special program. They committed to buying like 800 cases, and we moved it through the stores. But that was like an in and out deal. And then the other ones, sometimes there's a submission process.
Mm-hmm.
You submit your stuff. Maybe if they're compelling enough. You might just get a green light. Other times, retailers will have you submit and then go pitch in person. And it's kind of like a, what can you do for me type thing? Like, what are you going to do to make these bottles move? Right. Are you going to bring in maybe some of your celebrity investors? Are you going to come film videos at the store? Are you going to, push people to the stores? Are you going to run certain programs? So,
I mean, for our listeners, the bottleneck in retail is always shelf space, right?
Yeah.
And why should they bring up another tequila brand besides what they have already?
Yeah.
And especially as there might be some pushback from portfolio companies, they also want their space, right? And so you have to convince them first on that, and then you have to create the rotation, right? That you actually sell that stuff all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and when you launch into a retailer, like a lot of times don't get the best shelf space, right? You got to like kind of prove yourself before you get the end cap, or
and also not the best price, right?
Say it again.
Like not the best price. If you sell it to them, you sell it for maybe $10, $15 or so, or
no, we sell it to our distributor, and our distributor sells it to them.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you definitely got to earn your keep in a lot of the bigger retailers. But we also did something interesting where we launched like Mother's Market in the fall. And we, figured out a way to get like a big end cap display at every store. And that was a big win for us. And we were the top 3 in Bev Alc brands in all of October, November, December across the Mother's Market chain in SoCal. But there's definitely something to be said about shelf space, right? Because if you're in the visible spot, people that are just perusing and, looking for a tequila, but if it's front and center and you have a big display of all your bottles and you make it look nice, they'll give it a try. But if it's buried in the back or behind a pole or whatever, or maybe it's just on the shelf, but it's tough to notice. So yeah, you got to figure out creative ways to make the brand pop, which is actually why when we launched Caliente, we have these like bright red cases that say hot cinnamon tequila. So when you stack them at retail, it's very memorable. And when we launched this in Georgia, we did about 1,000 cases in the first 4 weeks because of some of like the learning lessons we had from retail. And this one just says very loud.
So when you go nationwide at some point, or like you're adding, you said 6 to 10 more states this year, are you gonna open up another local office or so, or will it all be managed out of LA?
Probably keep a pretty central office, because a lot of the hires as you grow are salespeople. I mean, who knows? If we have a huge business on the other side of the country, maybe it would make sense. But I think typically you can have like one mission control, and then a lot of the people are typically salespeople.
Amazing, Ryan. I love to keep following the story. Please put out more YouTube videos. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I saw in preparation for the pod, I watched one YouTube video and it was so good. It was like Netflix style, sitting down, like, oh, okay, is this running?
Yeah.
And then some cool drone footage. I moved in my $10 million house, and so it was very well done, and it definitely sold me.
Yeah.
But why didn't you continue?
Well, I mean, Jonas is going to come.
Next time, Jonas should be on the pod.
Yeah. We want to build more personality and behind the brand, and showcase the day to day. And I think that's a great way to do that. But we definitely need more resources. Jonas was pretty maxed. I think he was going to kill me. He was like shooting and editing all of them, and guy wasn't sleeping. And so I think in the next phase, as the brand gets a little bit bigger and we have a little bit bigger budget, we'll probably revive that. But right now it's kind of like quicker bite-sized content that can live on Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
And does the job. And as we get bigger or the brand gets bigger, it'll make more sense to do that. But we'll have to hire a couple more editors.
Okay. All right, guys. So if you listen to the podcast right now, please text Ryan to continue the pod.
Yeah.
And follow on LinkedIn, follow Lo Siento Tequila. Check it out. And the Caliente, especially the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get a shot. And thanks for being on the pod. I really love the story. Keep it up. And if you hit let's say like maybe 50 million or so next year, you should be back and tell us how it went.
Awesome. We will. And for everyone listening, we have a code for you on the site for 20% off. It's just Trend 20. So anything on the site's 20% off. Get in there.
Trend 20. All right.
The website's losientotequila.com.
Nice. All right, man.
Thanks
so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.